AskReddit by deleted. What's the most hurtful thing someone has ever said to you? When I was younger, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. My siblings and I shaved our heads to support her. This kid told me that he hopes my mom dies and that I looked like I was in the Holocaust. She has been cancer free for 13 years, but fuck that kid. My sister had a kid in her class who held a crumpled piece of paper to his head, turned to her and said, "I look like your father." They were in 5th grade. Our dad had a brain tumor, he died of it. A year later the same kid's dad hung himself at home. That's when he apologized. Fuck those kids. When I was young, my mom said holidays are better without me. When I was young my mom saying she had to love me but she didn't like me. It was her careful specificity, and I'm adopted. F'd me up for life. I cheated on you, and the only reason I'm telling you is because I'm pregnant. Double quote. Damn, that's the exact same thing my high school girlfriend told me, and after that she asked me for money to pay for the abortion. You'll never be loved or cherished because you look like me. You will never belong anywhere. No one cares about you enough to actually be there for you. You will be a burden to everyone else, from dad to 11-year-old me after we argued about how he missed my birthday again. But looking back, I laugh because it seemed like he was projecting his own insecurities onto me. Lol. Odds are good that he absolutely heard those words directed at him from someone he admired or loved. Shame he has not dealt with that trauma. It doesn't have to be your trauma. You're a different person, different life, different options. Go on and thrive. Took my math book up to the teacher's desk with a question. I wasn't grasping it. He slams my book on his desk and asked me if I was stupid or what. Small town school about 30 years ago. If I ever run into that brick I have a few things to show and tell him. I was sure I was gonna find my stepdad and hurt him. I didn't make it my main goal, but I had decided by 5th grade, after he was gone, and I considered it just granted that someday I would run into him when I was grown and I would hit him until I felt like stopping. I never did run into him until I'd moved away and then back and I was 30. Randomly spotted him in line at a Subway shop. I felt zero anger and hatred. He just looked pathetic, alone, weak, small, fragile. This big scary dude who screamed and spit and hit and scared us all and had cops concerned and checking on us even after the restraining order and divorce were final. I just got my sandwich and gave him a good long moment to see if he recognized me or wanted to make eye contact, and when he didn't, I carried on back to work. I feel like there is some sort of lesson or silver lining here. I know I felt better, and not how I expected to. Locked in the bathroom, naked. Just look at you. You're fat and ugly. Nobody will ever love you the way I do. Ex-husband. He was right. I married someone who does love me, just not the way he loved me. Thank God. I'm so glad you're being treated the way you deserve. You're a stupid diaper wearing cripple and the world would be better off without you. My middle school bully. For context, I have spina bifida and suffer from total incontinence due to the nerves not working right. I'll kick his ass for you. I have a daughter with an extremely complicated illness. Almost lost her to it twice when she was almost 3 and again 6 months later. In between. This was 15 years ago. I broke down and wept, being so worried about her and also how distant my wife had become from me as well. After I settled down, my wife told me that me crying like that had made me less attractive. My daughter is very stable now and I've been divorced for several years. What kind of monster says that about a man hurting over his daughter? Very happy to hear you divorced that pose. I had struggled with infertility for years. At my dad's funeral my stepsister said, "I bet you feel bad that you never gave him any grandkids." I would never speak to her again. My auntie was infertile and it completely destroyed her. It's not your fault, so you shouldn't be blamed. My mum once said to me, I love you. You're my daughter. But I don't like you. I would never seek you out as a friend. I was 21 and it was 40 years ago. I will never get over that. It hurt so much. As a kid I asked my brothers if they thought our mom loved me. They said they thought she loved me but she didn't like me. It was both heart-wrenching and also validating to know I wasn't imagining the mistreatment. You should do everyone a favor and kill yourself. Cut across for attention and down for results. A person who I called dad at 12 years old. My dad killed himself a few years ago. My wife one day stopped shouting at me mid-argument and said really calmly, "You're the reason your dad killed himself." I walked out that day and haven't spoken to her again. I still think about what she said constantly. Edit. I wasn't the reason at all. He was on a cocktail of antidepressants and he left a note outlining some bad financial decisions and his divorce with my mum 10 years ago. So I know I'm not the reason, but I just can't stop thinking about what she said and why she said it. You're ugly and underdeveloped. I was 10 years old and to this day it still gets to me. Edit. To clear things up, this was said to me by a family friend's daughter. She was like 14. Anybody that is telling a 10-year-old that they're underdeveloped has some serious issues. My dad one time told my mom over the phone while I could hear that he didn't want a relationship with me anymore. Edit. Okay, so I definitely didn't expect that to blow up as much as it did or to receive any awards, but thank you so much guys. Don't worry, I've commented the full story below and things are a lot better now. Wow, I'm sorry, that's so selfish and shitty. Dad to 12-year-old me for forgetting to close a gate at the end of a 12-hour workday. You are a worthless piece of shit. Hey, was my dad your dad too? From my boss from my previous job, you're a headache to deal with, and I regret hiring you. I wouldn't surprise you don't give your girlfriend, friends, and family a headache. I was hired with this guy fully knowing I had little experience with the position I was hired for. I didn't lie during the interview. I had a boss once say to me, "I just don't see how anyone could be so stupid to do that," after I followed the advice of our Google Ads rep when I was new to Google Ads. After what I thought was a good relationship in my 30s with my dad, I was having trouble accommodating his wife's son's wedding and my lifelong friend's wedding in the same week in 2 different states in the Northeast. I'm on the West Coast. I brought up the fact that I was having trouble and my dad tried to fight me, has never in my life been physical before, called me a narcissist, that I'm a piece of shit since I was 17, and that I'm not to talk to him ever again, and if he ever sees me again, he will kill me. I didn't even meet my stepbro until my 30s and spoke to him previously about my difficulty finding flights. Anyway, at the time of the fight I was still trying to find flights to accommodate both, but my dad telling me those things made up my mind for me. It's a shame. He's 71 and I probably will not talk to him ever again. I'm willing, but he is not. Is wit. Lifelong friends win over stepbrother. Your pa sounds like he has incipient dementia. My mom denying her abuse towards me even almost a decade later has fucked me up more than I thought. She's way better nowadays, but she's still a narcissist. I'm so sorry. Parents should be guardians, not abusers. No one will ever love you. Double quote. That's the closest I ever got to actually killing myself because I truly believed these words. That's so awful. There are plenty of people who love you, so please don't pay attention to those words. My stepmom wrote me a letter when I was in my mid-20s, had 2 kids and happily married, saying I had the morals of a rally cat, I was an unfit parent and my husband should divorce me. I was literally Cinderella starting from age 5. She even locked me in a cage. That's ultra fucked. Glad you're doing so much better. If she says that stuff to you now, that means you're winning. Additionally, if she sends you another letter, you can write return to sender on it to maximize her frustration. You're just a little girl. No one likes you, no one wants you around. You're annoying, over the top and loud. Stop being so fucking annoying and maybe someone will want to be with you. Edit to add another one. It's a boy or it's abortion. I'm not raising a daughter. I miscarried 2 days later. That's awful. I'm so sorry that you were treated that way. It was the truth, but it was that I was an alcoholic. Hurt bad. It's incredibly hard to hear the first time. Like a knife to the gut. In spite of not being good looking, you are so good at studies. I don't know whether I must feel hurtful or not. That's a real low blow. People like you are a statistic. Once you fail once you'll keep on failing. Head of school when I had to repeat a year in undergrad, consequence of being naive and finding myself in a shitty abusive relationship. I refused to shake hands with him after my final performance and told him that no, I wouldn't go to graduation because I'd have to shake his hand when he asked if I was attending. Also quite enjoyed sending copies of my 3 following degree certificates and signing the letter Dr. Dart. Prick. Well done Dr. Prick. My mom told me this when I was 14, and it led to my first suicide attempt. You are a disappointment to me, and everyone who knows you. I should have just given you up for adoption. I can't imagine how hard that would have been for you. The night before my wedding my mother drunkenly told me what a horrible, selfish daughter I was. That my wedding was a fucking circus. It was tented with cafe lights, and she can't believe what an awful selfish person I am. Because I had my wedding in the state I had lived in for 6 years and none of her friends' family decided to travel to it. Oh, and she decided she would throw her own reception the next week. The reason no one decided to come to the actual wedding, which forced me to forego a honeymoon and instead travel to my hometown to attend her second reception. Followed closely for when I tried to hang myself at 11 in my closet and the rack and shelf fell instead and she told me you are too fat to hang yourself. Oh no. That's so awful. I am so sorry for what happened to you. Probably the first time my mom said have a nice life, took about 10 more disownings before I said enough's enough and cut ties. I'm still kind of bitter but have come to terms with it. She still doesn't understand why I don't wanna let her back in. Last I heard she disowned my sister, again, too. I'm so sorry. No one deserves to be treated like that and I'm sorry that you were. I'm meant to be alone. I once was told by a friend from high school, at another friend's wedding, what I appreciate about you is that you just know you're not ever going to get married, and you're, like, okay with that, because I was 27 and single. She genuinely thought it was a compliment that I accepted my inability to be loved. And you can bet that bitch is going to be shocked she isn't invited to my wedding next year. I posted it earlier. My dad told me that dads often saw their kids because it's normal : he had been saw me and my little brother for years : I'm so sorry. My mom told me, honey, you can't tell the family therapist about the things dad did when you and your sister were little, he'll be judged. My family was evangelical Christian and the pastors advised us to stay together and work past the pain and forgive our dad, because Jesus healed him. Jesus did not heal him. My father was caught masturbating to me at 20 years old on one occasion that I know of, in which I fell asleep drunk on the couch and one of my nipples had slipped out. What did my mom do? Nothing. She told him to stop and I just found this out recently. It's like I'm going through all the pain all over again. I've never been more depressed in my life because I can't get his disgusting self out of my mind. Ugh. You're too disgusting to be my girlfriend, but I own you, so I can do what I want to you. You're impossible to love. If I kill myself it will be your fault. My father had dementia due to diabetic strokes. I went to visit him 6 days a week. A co-worker said, I don't know why you go so often. He's not going to remember you were there. That man is so insensitive. I hope your dad's doing okay. Your dad will get to remember his love for you every day you see him.